Good morning, crew. It's Friday, May 7th? I don't know. What are days anymore? What are dates? I don't know. So, a lot of people are getting really excited about tarot right now. I think part of that is because of the Alleyman's Tarot on Kickstarter that I've been harping about on all of the social media. I know that several of you are backing that with me, and we are having a lot of good fun times, and we have tarot card trades coming up. For those who don't understand the whole thing when I say tarot card trades, like people are breaking up decks and trading cards around out of them because this other deck it's been referred to as a Franken deck, as a patchwork deck. It's a chimera. It's made up of lots of different parts. There are too many cards. And I say too many because there's almost 200. If you get all the goodness with booster packs and whatnot. So it's exciting, and it has many of us who have maybe not been working with our tarot really excited to get back into that, motivated for that. So with that, at least two people I know personally in my real life have gotten new decks during this time. I've gotten the Light Seers because I've been using her imagery on the Patreon for a while now, and I wanted to give her money because money. So I got the Light Seers deck in my hot little hands. Woo. But I know Stacy just got a new deck, and who was it who's also a backer and they got a new deck? Anyway, I can't remember. Oh, Amy. Yes. So I'm going to go over some things about tarot because it's such a large part of what we do here. That's a daily thing to prepare us for just the energies as we go out into the world. So when you get your deck, when I get my deck, this is my process. So your mileage may vary, but this is what works for me, because connecting to your deck is really important if you want to get accurate readings. So when I get my deck, the first thing I do is look at the box, and I read the front, and I read the back. And in this case, I read the inside lid, which has a beautiful message. And into the gray we follow, like 1,000 flickering stars. And there in a sunlit hollow, we lose and find what is ours. So, there you go. Light and Shadow Seer, may this deck help you find what is yours. And it is signed with X's and O's by Chris Ann, the author. So, I do that. And then I take out the little white book, and in this case, it's a thick little blue book with all the things. And I read the bits in the front. The thing that I did about light and shadow the other day in Discord is her exercise to get you a little help with how you're going to work with this deck, because this particular deck is a healing deck. That's what she created it for, to help people heal physically, emotionally, and spiritually. So there you go. So a little white deck, or a little white book, and then I take out the deck. And the first thing I do with the deck is I just go through one card at a time, and I'll look at it. And I will notice little things about it, color shifts, at themes, kind of color-wise through the suits. The Fool's Journey, of course, is usually the first thing that you see because the Fool is on top. So you go through the Fool's Journey, and then you go through the suits, and you notice different themes. For instance, in this deck, swords always have crows. Cups has the ocean and things that live in the ocean. Wands definitely have all of the fire, as they should. Pentacles are wood and dirt. It's very forest oriented. The Fool's Journey, I actually need to lay them out. I'm not quite there yet because I want to see what the landscape is. I have a feeling that there's something that connects up from card to card, even though the colors don't necessarily, right? So that's what I do. I do the initial thing, and then I put them down and let them sit. And just let my subconscious marinate on all of the images and all of the things that I've seen. And the next day I'll pick it up. And I will start shuffling it. And I will shuffle and shuffle and shuffle. And I'll do that several times throughout the day because I really want to randomize the deck. These cards are particularly thick. I think they're 400 GSM. And they are not, they are very... well, you can't, it doesn't look thick on this, but they are, so they are stiff. So I shuffle them a lot. I shuffle them when they're this thick and this new. I shuffle half of the deck at a time, and then I cut those and do different halves and do that a lot. And once they get a little more flexy, I start trying to do the whole deck. This one's a challenge, my friends. They are sturdy cards and meant to be with you forever. So, once that's done, I will grab a notebook. And without looking at the meanings in the little white book, I will scan the card. And what I mean by scan the card, we'll take this 8 of Pentacles because it's on top. I will take 5 minutes and I will really look at it from top to bottom and then bottom to top and then kind of get lost in it as a whole. Once I've done that, I have a little more feeling about the card. Some of the things that I notice about this one is that, yes, there are the phases of the moon, but the moons on this don't look like our moon. There's a little flower in them. There's a pentacle at the top. Not when it's full, but just past full when it's starting to wane. The herbs that are in the bowls. There's one with a bone and daisies. There's aloe. She's writing with a feather next to this stack of books. So while it's 8 of Pentacles, it's got the other elements in it as well, especially air, especially fire, because it's work related. So I can see all of those, and that's something that I would write down. She does not outright have any runes on her. There are little runes and sigils in some of the cards. This is not one of those cards, with maybe the exception down in the chair there, Degas, might be kind of down there in the way the chair is put together. So I would make all those notes. And about the aurora borealis that seems to be happening around her. So again, I'll let you see the card. Although it's hard to get. So yeah. So I would make note of all that. The fact that she's looking to her left, which means she's using the right side of her brain, staring into a flame for inspiration while she's so creative, problem solving at your work. Those are the kind of things I do. And eventually I will complete the whole deck. Now, that doesn't happen in a day when you're talking about 5-minute chunks of really concentrating on a thing and then going through and writing these things down. That's a process. I might do that a couple of times a day for a card or two, so it takes a while to get through the deck. Now, I can go ahead and read with the deck while I'm doing that, especially if I'm doing small readings, 3 or 5 card spreads, a 1 card pull. And if I'm not sure because it's a new deck, there's the little white book, and don't be afraid to use that. If you're doing like a 3 card spread and you're like, well, okay, there's my 3 card spread, write that 3 card spread down and then do the scanning and notation for each of those and then interpret your reading. If you are worried about accuracy and you don't want to read for anybody else because it's been a while or you're new to it, oh, my friends, I hacked this 25 years ago with TV shows. I would pick a character and watch an episode, and then I would do a reading about what I thought was going to happen to a particular character, and I would write that down. And then the next week I would watch the episode and see if I was right or not and where I was wrong. And then I could see, because I kept notes, which card maybe I wasn't interpreting right or I was missing an aspect of it. So I did that a lot. You can also do tarot spreads on the news, on the weather, believe it or not. So there are lots of ways that you can do that to learn the meanings of the cards. The weather is nice because it connects you to air and water a lot, which are things that you need when you're reading tarot. The air is inspiration, being open, knowing the rote meanings of the cards, and then the water is the intuitive side, how you feel your way through it, that kind of stuff. So those are 2 of the elements that you really need. So using them for the weather is kind of interesting to get in touch with those aspects. You may want to go through and see if there are any animals in your deck that do act as sort of a guide or familiar for you, and spending time on the cards that feature that animal over not a very long period of time. If you're doing it on the regular, you may get a name for that. You may attract a very specific version of that as a guide for when you're reading tarot, and then you've got a name with like, hey Fluffykins, I need your little help for this reading. When I'm doing a reading, and people have noticed, I'll look down and I'm rubbing my thumb in circles on the card. Well, I work with crows, so I say a little thing that I wrote a long time ago. Crow of black and shining beauty, truth of word, be thy duty. Show me Jolynn's path. And I say that 3 times, inserting the person's name in before path. And it helps. And those of you who have seen me give a reading out of doors, oftentimes then we will start to hear crows during the reading. Interesting magical stuff. So, about keeping your deck. Now you know how to kind of get to know your deck. There are different interview spreads that you can do with your deck, and it is a deck interview. What it can help you with, what it can teach you, what it thinks you need to know, what it thinks you already know, all those kinds of things. Doing that is a good thing, and you can do that anywhere in this process. But then keeping your deck. For now, it's got a big sturdy box. It's living in its box. Matt, for special decks, would get leather sort of steampunky cases. The bags. You've all seen me whip out a deck that's wrapped in what I'm using for tarot cloth. But someplace special. There is an old, and I haven't seen it much recently, but there is an old thing about using lepidolite dust with your tarot cards to help with the psychic. Don't do that. Lepidolite has mica in it, and that is very bad for your lungs. Do not crush up mica and put it all over your cards. Thanks. You can put a piece of lepidolite in with them. You can also put moonstone or amethyst or anything that kind of boosts psychic goodness. Several of us are looking at Larkovite, thanks to our rock pimp Michelle, who has some stuff up on the Facebook Roxas from her boxes group right now that haven't been claimed and that are new. So if you haven't seen them and you're looking, go there and shop. So yeah, there are lots of stones to help you with that. There are herbs that can help with psychic vision. Mugwort being a really good one, and my bane for reasons, and some of you have heard that story and some of you haven't, but that also helps. Believe it or not, apple. So a little dab of apple scented anything. I don't know if you can get apple essential oil, but that will help with your psychic stuff. Ask somebody who's an oil person. I'm not. So yeah, that's my little thing about the tarot deck. Go through it, get to know it, take notes, keep records, especially with a new deck, or if you've been away from reading for a while. It's you learn things better when you write them down. And I don't mean type them out. I mean write them down. This is analog. That's how the brain works. So, I hope you all have a great weekend. The card today was the Ace of Cups. So, yay, emotion stuff. Some good, some bad, some frustrating. I wasn't happy when I drew it. So that's probably how my day's gonna go. But I guess that's on me. So yeah, get out there, play with your decks that you own that you haven't touched in a while. Especially if you're getting the Alleyman's Tarot, because it's gonna be a lot. If you have a new deck, like Stacy, do the things. Play with your deck. Get to know it. While this is work, it's also play. And, I do readings, and then I play with my deck. And that's what you do with your friends. Sometimes you're working, sometimes you're playing. Your deck is your friend. I say it's a tool, but it's also your friend. It's It's that connection to your subconscious. It's that connection to your higher self. It's how you have that conversation a lot of the time. So treat it like a person, and you will have just a much better experience and much more accurate readings. All right, guys. So have a good weekend. Don't let today overwhelm you. Cover your crowns, zip up your chakras. Make sure you're respecting your own boundaries. Don't let other people cross into them today. You don't need that headache. And I will see you again in a video soon. Until then, bright blessings.